Hey, my name is Sarah, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Fast. As always, alongside me is manager Jacob. I guess not as always, because you weren't here you're back. You weren't here for the last episode for the Taylor Swift recap, and we're back. We've been away for a little summer vacation for a couple weeks. We haven't
recorded in like 5 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. We have not recorded together in like 5 weeks at least.
Yeah,
maybe 6 actually.
But we're back and we're better than ever.
We're back. I have blonde hair. You've been to a bunch of countries in Europe. There's a lot happening. We are going to do a full summer vacation recap episode. That is not this week. This week we're talking all things movies. But first, as always, I need to know, what are you drinking or eating?
Okay, I got to give a shout out to my friend Scott.
Shout out Scott.
Because he actually sent me some of this. And it arrived actually the day that I was leaving for my trip. So I didn't try it until I came back. And then he actually hooked me up with some more because I finished it all. Rosso Coffee says right here, the official Stampede Parade coffee of the Calgary
Very
Stampede.
Very specific sponsorship, but I love it.
I know. I'm a big coffee drinker, as everyone knows. This is their turning point. This is what really sold me on it.
Okay, so
they
but
have
like what
regular roast beans.
Okay, so like what is it?
Classic beans.
Got it.
Turning point. However, sometimes if you're a little lazy, this is high quality coffee, but it's an instant pack.
Oh, so, he sent these to me too. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
that's instant coffee?
Okay,
I'll try
instant. So this is like, boom. I threw one of these in my cup this morning because I was needing to jump straight into emails and was a little bit too lazy to do coffee or like make my coffee in French. You have French press. I don't. I do to pour over. But it was amazing. It tastes great. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Rosso Coffee.
I think I'd be really interested to try those in like an iced coffee situation because instant coffee with iced coffee is really good.
Okay.
So I will do that and I will review it, Scott. We'll come
report back.
I've been drinking Coronas. It's a big Corona summer for me.
Oh, you're doing buckets?
Well, I haven't been anywhere for buckets yet. I just was at my cottage and that's like all I drank was Coronas. And then I was at Sam Hunt and all I drank was Coronas.
Also, can we like just give a shout out to your cottage? The fire pit is looking nice. Whoa.
If you don't watch the vlogs, which I don't know why you would listen to this podcast and not watch the vlogs, to be completely honest, but I hand dug with my parents that fire pit. And it took so long and it felt like I was doing CrossFit. So I just appreciated it that much more getting to sit there.
Yeah. And from afar, because I saw the vlog when you were like spacing it out and like measuring it, like when you were there a few months ago.
Yeah.
And then when you came back and you're like, oh, let's have a fire or whatever. And it looks pristine.
And it can fit 10 people comfortably on the one side even because we like didn't want the smoke in our face. So we like moved all to the one side and snuggled in. Perfect. And it is beautiful and you can go watch the vlogs and catch up on that.
So you're rocking the Ronas.
Nothing like a Rona in my Adirondack chair around the fire in Nova Scotia.
Coronas, limes. Do you do the whole like always. Pop in, turn upside down?
Oh, what?
To get the lime to go like further down.
Nope. I just shove it in the top there.
Okay. Yeah.
The only thing is the like mosquitoes and stuff come at me more when they have the lime.
Ah, too bad.
So sometimes I'll like opt out for it.
Sarah, what are you watching or reading this week?
So on my vacation, I read 2 books. I would say I'm like out of my slump now because I've been in and out of a slump for a while. I read Love Theoretically, which is by Ali Hazelwood. She's also written like the love. She basically writes about like women in STEM falling in love. So it's kind of cool. And then I read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez? Yeah, Ali Hazelwood and Abby Jimenez. I thought I just called them both Abby. Anyways, Yours Truly was also great. It was about 2 doctors and they're writing the love notes to each other. And I don't know, it was just like 2 very, like they give me all the little like giddy, like hee-hees, you know, like the little.
I know.
Yeah, so those were both great reads and I'm out of my slump now. What about you? What have you been watching or reading?
1 second. Were those on your TBR?
Yes.
I just wanted to say TBR because there's a new term that I learned
are you still like in like
Wait, is
10?
it TRB?
No, it's TBR.
To book read.
To be read.
To be read. I totally forgot.
What have you been watching or reading?
I've been watching. So I can't even remember what I watched while I was on my trip, but we watched I remember. We watched when we were in Rome. At one point,
you watched the Lizzie McGuire movie, obviously.
And it was the opposite of Lizzie McGuire movie. It was the Tom Hanks stuff. What is that? Da Vinci Code. The whole trilogy. The whole trilogy of those.
Oh, that's good actually.
Because we're like, well, we've been there. We went there.
Stuff.
You know, I couldn't. It was my first time actually watching those movies.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of cool to go through and watch those. But it was a little dark. So when I came back, I've just been watching on Crave. Nathan for You, catching up. Do you ever watch it?
No.
Okay, Nathan Fielder. Canadian comedian from out west. He was also the guy. Did I plug it on this podcast? The Rehearsal show on HBO.
Yeah, you talked about this.
Amazing. So anyway, Nathan For You is like his original show. It's just so funny.
And that's on Crave?
Yeah.
Okay, bomb.
Yeah.
And finally, what are we listening to?
Oh, Sarah, I can't remember off the top of my head because I've just started listening to this. If it's on Jacob's Songs of the Summer, but if it's not, it's going to be on in the next about 10 seconds. Troye Sivan, who I took Troye Sivan, who I took in my male pop star draft.
Correct.
And I thought it was a steal, came out with a banger.
Yeah, he only has bangers.
Called Rush. Did I drive back from a soccer game last night at 11 p.m. driving through downtown Toronto with the windows down with that blaring on repeat? Yes, I did. Is there traffic on Adelaide Street that made it a really long trip that I was driving really slowly and like probably annoying everyone that I was driving past?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you could say the traffic on Adelaide was not in a rush?
They were,
Thanks.
That's good.
Thanks.
That's
I'll be
good.
here all week.
What are you listening to, Sarah?
To surprise to nobody, I've been listening to Speak Now, Taylor's version. I was not a Speak Now girly. It was a little bit ahead of my time almost. Like I liked it. I wasn't like obsessed with it. I was only like 14.
Did you have any
Speak Now.
experience with bullies?
I mean, Mean's the only one that like really was like what spoke to me. Actually, one of my first tweets ever 13 years ago was me tweeting, I just really relate to the song Mean by Taylor Swift. And then everyone always jokes.
Didn't we all?
I have a few friends that joke that song is like my life story arc. It's like someday I'll be living in a big old city. Anyways, getting off track. I've been listening specifically to the vault tracks because that's like the exciting part for me, right? All the new music. So my favorite vault track is called Foolish One. It kind of feels like a personal attack on me, but all of the vault tracks feel very like sometimes for vault tracks, I would go, did you really write this during that era? Like I don't believe it. These ones like sound like an 18-year-old wrote it. Like it sounds like she wrote them properly during that time. So I've just been listening to the vault tracks. And if you have too, let me know what one's your favorite. When Emma Falls in Love is also great because it's about Emma Stone. You know, Emma Stone, like
Who did she fall in love with?
Andrew Garfield. Duh.
Oh, classic.
Classic.
Did you see that TikTok of the two of them looking at each other when she won the Oscar?
Yeah. They're like
Heartbreaking.
They're like lovers in another lifetime. Today we're joined by Shabazz and Daniel, two of the co-hosts of the Movie Podcast, which breaks down the biggest in entertainment, and they interview the biggest stars and share their opinions on what you should be watching. Now, before we get into it, since we are talking all things film today, I did want to start off by saying that we fully support SAG, AFTRA, and the writer's strikes that are currently happening in entertainment. Unions are so important for supporting these creatives and ensuring that they can be fairly compensated for their art and make a living wage. These conversations have been a long time coming, and we stand with all of those striking for their rights. With that being said, I love talking movies, and I'm so excited to have you guys here. Thank you guys for coming on Talking Fast.
Oh my gosh, we're honored to be here.
So we were just talking about how you guys are like in the middle. It's like blockbuster summer season, right? Mm-hmm. So after this, you guys are going to watch Barbie. You have Oppenheimer later this week. And so some of the biggest movies that are going to be up the year, when did it change for you guys that you were starting to get invited to like these big hotshot like previews and screenings? And was that like a big pinch you moment?
Yeah, I think one of the first ones we got invited to, I mean, during the pandemic was Snake Eyes, right?
Yeah,
like
G.I. Joe movie.
G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah.
So, Henry Golding, super handsome guy, and we're like, oh, okay, cool. And it was like one of our first films, and we got there. We were just so excited to just be there. And again, it's in the midst of the pandemic, so maybe only like 5 press people are there. But it was cool. It was literally a pinch me moment. Like, doesn't matter how big or small the movie is, the fact that we're there to be in the same room is an honor.
Yeah, and it was cool because, like you said, there was only like 5 people in the room. So whenever we do have press screenings and it's not like a full house, anytime we do go see a movie like at a regular screening now, it's like, oh, there's so many people here. You turn snobby so fast.
So many phones,
you know,
around.
like, oh, what is going on here? No, but it's an honor to be included because obviously it's not a large group of people that get invited to those things. So it's a responsibility that we don't take lightly for sure.
Okay, but we have to know before we get started, like, how did you get the name The Movie Podcast? Because like the fact that wasn't already taken is the most shocking thing on the planet.
Some people had to die.
Yeah,
okay.
We can't.
As they should.
We can't disclose that yet.
Yeah.
No, but I honestly think it was just one of those things that was so obvious that even in our first episode that we were recording, we were just called a movie podcast, and we're just like, no, it's the movie podcast. So our another co-host Anthony's like, no, we're the movie podcast. We're going to be the movie podcast, and luckily enough, it was available in all social media handles, so we scooped it up.
That's wild.
I
I
love
love
that.
the decisiveness.
Yeah.
Making it the okay. So I just threw out some of the most anticipated films. I'm seeing Barbie tomorrow, and I'm very excited about it. So what are your most anticipated films that are coming up? Maybe this summer we can start with.
Man,
You
I mean,
can do the full year though if you want.
I mean, Barbie was the big one for us. I think the last year building up to Barbenheimer with Barbie and Oppenheimer. So it's amazing that we're finally in this, this hallowed week that we've been waiting for. So those are definitely, I think, the biggest two that we've been looking forward to. Mission Impossible was obviously another big one for us that we were looking forward to and loved and
Were
watched.
you guys there last week when Tom was there when he showed up?
We weren't at that screening. We had seen it. We had seen it about a week before that.
Oh, even earlier.
Yeah.
We were too exclusive.
So we were doing again. This is pre the strike. So we were talking with Henry Cherney, who's making his return after almost 30 years. But yeah, just like you said at the top of the show, like there would be no movie podcast without writers and the actors who bring their words to life. So we were full support of them as well too. But yeah, it was one of those things that we saw it. We fell in love with that movie, and then yeah, it's just great that we're in a post-mission world. But there's so many movies this year.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out. I mean, animations at this point where we just got Spider-Verse, and that really pushed the boundary. And if you've seen the trailer for Turtles, it looks like it's going to push the animation boundary once more. So that's where I think it's going to be really, really fun and really cool. And it's an August film. August is a little bit quieter this year, so see what happens.
Yeah.
Have there also been some sleeper movies? Because we also live in this world where, blockbusters obviously dominate the conversation a lot of the times, but you guys are people that have probably seen a ton of movies, definitely more movies than most people. Are there like some that are like black sheep that maybe not a lot of people have seen that you would maybe recommend?
Like I'm thinking like the Everything Everywhere All at Once of this year, because
This
like
year?
last year they came out like it came out like February, right?
Yeah,
Like, pretty
February, March,
early,
yeah.
and then it wasn't until they got the big award seasons push. So are there any sleeper picks like that? Right now?
Honestly, I think the biggest one for us, and it's fitting that it's Canadian as well too, is Blackberry. I think Blackberry's it's a
I've
huge
heard
film.
So many good things.
It's the performance in it are incredible. Matt Johnson, who we love from obviously Nirvana, the band, the show, and now he's doing this incredible, beautiful movie that we got to watch and just fall in love with, and it's really finding its audience, I think, in the States and here in Canada especially. And it's an important story, I think, to tell as well too, because it's not a happy ending, but it's still a story that you want to experience and go on the journey with these characters.
There's
right?
a lot of buzz with Glenn Howerton, from Always Sunny. He's in this film playing Jim Basile, and his performance is fantastic. And we're not used to seeing him outside of that Always Sunny frame. So I mean, he killed it, and it's a lot of Oscar talk. So I'm sure come that time we'll see something.
Oh, that's
Which
exciting.
is also kind of wild too, because it's a little bit more rare, right, for a Canadian film to kind of cross borders and get that kind of buzz too.
Definitely.
Yeah. It rarely happens. So the fact that we're seeing it happen, and obviously Glenn, who Shay spoke about, who is just incredible in the movie, and I think Matt, who is directed it, and he's also starring in it, and then Jay Baruchel, who's just popular mechanics for kids for life, so
Wow,
100%.
it's a deep
Shout
cut.
It's a deep cut. It's a deep Canadian cut, but we love it. We love it here.
it.
Yeah.
I loved him on Last One Laughing.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
LOL. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, it's really funny. Okay, so what is the best movie you've watched so far this year?
Oh man.
It's gonna have to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It has to
Yeah?
be. Yeah, that movie. I think we've seen it.
So it's
six
just as good as the first one.
better.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah,
It-
better.
it's
It's a bold statement.
it's
I
a
know.
bold statement, but it somehow does the impossible and surpasses the first one,
I haven't
which is
seen it yet.
We've seen it 6 times now, and I think each time we've seen.
Wait,
it,
are you being sarcastic?
No,
or
no,
have you
I'm
actually
serious.
No,
watched it
we-
this
we
time?
We've
sometimes-
seen it 6 times in theaters.
Yeah, and I think that's the weird balance that we try and find. Sometimes that we watch movies for a living, but we also like watching them for enjoyment too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're like, let's just go watch it. Let's
I'm
just
like,
go.
hey man, you free right now? Yeah, let's go, because we live like 2 minutes down the road from each other, so might as well go watch
Yeah.
the movie.
We'll spend too much time together.
I was
as
gonna
much
say,
as
how many movies do you think you watch a week?
man.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, like I would say like at least 10.
At least 10.
At least 10.
You
Yeah.
guys need those like Cineplex black cards that are like
Yeah.
I've had a scene card since 2007, and it has done nothing else for me. They're just like,
I get popcorn sometimes.
Sometimes.
Concessions or something like
Yeah.
that.
What's the best movie you've seen this year?
This year, ooh,
the
a
best
little on the
movie I've seen this
spot. I'm trying to think.
You got to
What
go
was
into your
that?
letterbox right away. You
I
give a
know.
letterbox
You know what?
account?
I don't.
You
use
don't?
it.
You
have to get a
use it.
letterbox
That's
account.
shocking to me.
I should, because I should categorize things.
Yeah, it's good just making lists of like
Yeah.
what to watch. Like I'll just add things. I'm like, I
Yes.
need to watch this so I can remember because I'll forget everything.
I'm blanking. I'm gonna have to come back to it.
I haven't seen Barbie yet, but by the time this podcast goes out,
You're
I will
already
have seen
declaring?
Barbie. So
Yeah.
It's the best one.
I'll just declare it now. Because you know what? I spent my entire day watching Barbie Ryan Gosling interviews because he's like just playing the character of Ken in all of these interviews. And it is, if he's that good in these like GQ like interviews and all of that, I can just only imagine the movie he's going to be that much better.
Yeah, he's just kenning all over the
Yeah.
place.
Thank God
Yeah.
he's Canadian, you know?
I know he just he gives off London, Ontario, like, you know, and it's so funny. Like I'm like, you're just like a dude from London, Ontario.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We love.
I love that. Yeah, I think Barbie. I think this week especially because like we said, it's been the week that everyone's been looking forward to. I think Barbie and Oppenheimer are going to go to a lot of the top of people's lists this year.
Yeah.
I think one of my most anticipated is Dune Part 2 for me.
Yeah.
I love
You know what?
Dune Part 1.
I just watched Dune.
Why'd
Part
you watch it
1
on the plane?
last night?
Oh,
no,
you watched it
just
last
at
night?
home.
Oh, okay.
It's not a good plane movie.
Not a great
No.
plane movie. no.
It wouldn't have been. No,
Did you like it?
I did. Yeah.
I saw
Yeah,
it.
wow.
I saw it like an IMAX. And it was one of those ones where I went with a big group of friends. And
Mm-hmm.
like, there's nothing I love more after the movie than the post-movie walk back to, like, we all live in the same area, like back to our apartments, and you just like debrief.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Best feeling.
that's my favorite part about going to the movies. So that was just one that's like drilled in my brain of like we all took something different. It was like a packed theater. It was one of my first like post-COVID movies that I went to go see.
I wish I had seen it in theater, if only for the sound. as
Oh,
Yeah.
well. I was like, this score is amazing. The
I
sound's
know.
amazing.
And
and
a
I was
Canadian
just like,
director, which is really
oh,
fun.
really?
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
Montreal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
Denis.
Denny.
And also, I think my ears. I think I did permanent damage watching it.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
Because it was
that's
just the
true.
vibrations. I'm like, are we watching this in D box right now? It's like, no,
hadn't
it's just
started
how
yet,
loud it
really,
was.
though. The movie hadn't even
It
started.
was just the
when-
IMAX countdown.
And then
that
it's like
was-
the
Yeah.
that big sound that they have.
That was like
Yeah.
Top Gun for me.
Yeah,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
gosh.
I think I blew my ears out
Yeah.
watching that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
felt like I was on the jet when
Yeah.
I was watching that film, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then there's also like Wonka comes out at Christmas time. The trailer just dropped for that
I
as
saw
well with
that.
Timothy
That looks like
Chalamet.
a like
Big
a
Timmy,
trip.
big Timmy year.
Big Timmy here.
Oh,
Yeah, big
we
Timmy.
love a big
Yeah,
Timmy
every
year.
year is going to be a big
No,
Timmy
do
year.
you know what's
guys?
so funny though? Is like we were talking about. It's like it's either someone doesn't have a movie or it's like you have 3 in 1
Yes.
year. Like Florence Pugh might be the like a great example of this because she always has like multiple movies in 1 year, and she's already dressed like. Everyone kept joking she was dressed like the bomb.
Like the bomb at the premiere, yeah.
Because she had like the red fiery hair.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a big Timmy year.
Yeah.
But apparently Zendaya slays in Dune too.
Oh, yeah.
that's
It's,
really
it's
cool.
gonna be
waiting
her
for
movie
it.
for sure.
And
Yeah.
it's a big Zendaya year. She has another. What's that other movie coming out that she has?
The tennis one, right?
Yeah.
And
The
directed
love
by
triangle.
Yeah, from
Gordy.
Call Me by Your Name.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Challengers.
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 Challengers, I
Yeah.
wanna say,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's got that
Really
one.
good.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks really,
It's a
really
big
good.
one for my up and coming little babies and the ones that were all in my favorite movie, Little Women.
Oh.
Like Florence Pugh and
Yeah.
What a great version. I mean, Greta. I mean, Greta's just.
Oh my god, I love Greta Gerwig as
We
well.
love
So I've
her.
been watching all day long. I'm so excited. I was
Yeah.
more excited for Barbie just because of that. Everyone's like, "Is it going to be worth the hype?" And I go, "Greta, I trust. It's in Greta
Trust-
Gerwig's
Yeah.
hands.
Trust in Greta.
Trust
yeah.
in Greta Gerwig. It's in her hands."
Hashtag trust in Greta.
So I
100%.
just like spoiled one of my favorite movies of all time, 2019 Greta Gerwig version of Little Women. I want to know like what are some movies that, and one of actually our listeners asked that you guys could watch 100 times and never get sick of. I mean, Spider Verse you've watched 8 times already, and you're not sick of it, so it might be up there. But what's something you watch 100 times?
There's a film that Danny and I bond over a lot, and we hadn't watched it in a few years. And I kid you not, we would watch it once a month, if not. And then we hadn't watched it in about 2 years, and it was The Town by Ben Affleck.
It's such an interesting choice, but it's
Yeah.
it's such a good movie.
Good movie.
Yeah.
That is such a boy movie.
Yeah, it is.
Like there are movies that are for the boys and for the girls, and
that's
that is
for the
such a
boys
boy
What a
movie.
Girl Wants.
the balance.
Just two similar
It
films.
really exposes when like Letterboxd does the like 4 favorite films,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I go, and it's like such boy movies and such girl movies being
Yeah.
picked, but that's such a boy movie.
It is.
It is a
It
boy
is.
movie, though.
I also love like 21 Jump Street is another movie. Like the.
Classic.
I've
It's,
probably
this is
seen
so
that
funny.
10
21 times?
Yes.
21
I'm
times.
working on 21.
Yeah.
I saw 22 Jump Street before I saw 21 Jump Street.
Interesting.
Were you just confused at all?
choice.
No, I went to on a date and the guy's like, "We're gonna go see 22 Jump Street." I go, "Okay, whatever." Like, sure.
I didn't see the first 21 of these movies.
But you didn't need to see. I remember like laughing. I was like, "Oh, you didn't need to see the first one."
It's
Yeah.
still funny.
yeah, and
It's
they
still
make
great,
fun of the
yeah.
first one. It's like, yeah, it's the same thing where it's
the
like, but we're
same
just doing it
joke.
differently. Yeah.
Exactly, just
Yeah.
slightly different.
Okay, so Mission Impossible also had just a kind of a disappointing weekend. Is that right? I heard.
Yeah, I think
headline.
I think we'll have good legs because
Yeah.
usually like movies like that will make their money in the long run. But
This is what I want to ask you guys: your thoughts on like the whole IMAX debacle between
boy.
Oppenheimer taking over all of the screens and Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise not being very happy about that.
Look, I mean, we loved seeing the movie in IMAX. We saw it twice in IMAX. I think you saw it 3 times in IMAX.
Yeah.
And it's a great film for IMAX for sure, but it doesn't utilize that full IMAX landscape.
Okay.
So it's not that big of a deal if this movie doesn't get that IMAX treatment. I mean, Oppenheimer is made for it.
Yeah.
That it could be 6 months in IMAX for all I care. But if Tom Cruise doesn't get it, it sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, like, these dates are also set like
So
a year
far
in
in
advance.
advance.
So it's like and Mission Impossible has like ping ponged around for the last 2 years because of the pandemic. So like they kind of worked themselves into that corner, right? That's
Right.
the thing.
And they can always do a re-release, and they usually do. They'll come back, like Top Gun did it, where it's like 6 months after the film came out, they'll be like, hey, we're going to do another week in IMAX. And
Yeah.
I can see Mission Impossible doing that for sure.
For our listeners that maybe aren't like movie junkies, do you guys want to explain maybe the difference of the IMAX experience versus just buying a regular movie ticket?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like the biggest thing with IMAX is that when you're at a traditional movie theater screen, it is taking up the entire screen top to bottom, and the aspect ratio. Normally, when we have like a TV, it will like fill the screen or will have black bars. IMAX is like almost like looks closer to like a square, and there's so much more room like at the top of the frame, at the bottom of the frame. So if you're watching something like Oppenheimer, it is like you are in that scene, and it takes up your entire peripheral vision. So that will be like it makes it a really cool experience watching a movie that way
Very
because
immersive.
it's like all you see is the movie, which is
It's the
really
screen.
cool.
It doesn't like distract your eyes or pull them out to
No.
see like black bars. Or
Yeah,
something.
because it's not like more gimmicky like Screen X, or Screen X is when they project it like on the
Yeah, on
walls.
the walls.
Right.
Yeah, which is cool too, but it's like IMAX is like it's just like that's all you see is this movie, which is
A really,
cool.
really good example of it is if you go back to watching Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, there's a scene where they're climbing across the Burj.
In Dubai.
Yeah, in Dubai. Before that, it's the black bars are there with IMAX, and then once the IMAX sequence kicks in, it kind of just pulls you out of the frame and it just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So you kind of really get immersed. So there's a big difference. But from what I understand, Oppenheimer is just 3 hours, 9 seconds of that.
Right.
Wow.
Just full.
Just
It's
full
a long
screen.
movie.
Yeah.
It's a long movie.
9 seconds is where it loses me. Right?
9 seconds too long.
Okay, I have a bone to pick. When do we start deciding the movies were going to be over 3
No.
hours long? It
happy
is
with
insane.
it.
You go to a play or a musical or something, and it's 3 hours long, but you get an intermission. You get a break. Bring back intermissions at the movie theater. It used to be a thing back in the olden days. They would stop the little reel and they would like have an intermission and then let people go pee so they wouldn't miss any of the movie. 3 hours is insane. I sat through Avatar for 3 hours. I go, what is happening? Like,
There's
I
too
feel
much
like I
water
look-
on screen. I have to go pee.
Yeah.
but like 3 hours is insane.
It's a long. Yeah, it's a long
It's a
time.
lot.
Yeah.
You just have to go see it twice and
Yeah.
a different.
That's like
I only
getting
go see
money.
the first half.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's a marketing
money.
ploy.
I just
Yeah.
let me see 2 minutes of it. I just missed 2 minutes being in the washroom, please.
You're telling me that you think every movie that is 3 hours long now
know-
needs to be 3 hours.
I
I
don't-
literally, as a producer, sit there and go, cut.
Cut.
I can cut 45
why,
minutes off
for
this
me,
for you.
this is going to be no surprise to anyone who's listening to this podcast, is because it's great snack eating time.
my God.
And if I have
It is great snack
if I
eating
have
time.
3 different snacks,
Yeah.
hour 1 is one snack, hour 2 is the next,
That is
hour 3
psychotic.
is
where do you
What's
the
the
where do you
first-
start
yeah,
though?
what's
Yeah,
the
where do
first
you
snack?
start?
You
What's the
start
first
at
snack?
popcorn.
Okay,
you
good,
start
good,
at
good.
popcorn to get the experience
Right.
of the theater. You
Right.
get the smells going. You get the extra butter.
Do you put
of
anything in
course.
your popcorn?
Yeah.
I don't mix. I don't mix. I know.
I'm a
Keep,
big-
we keep
I'm a
we
big-
keep it separate, eh?
Yeah,
Do
Yeah.
you guys?
Separate.
I'm a big
keep it
popcorn and
separate.
I love putting M&Ms in my
I'm the same
popcorn.
way.
Yeah.
M&Ms and popcorn's been like. And
I respect
the
that.
TikTok audience
Yeah.
knows popcorn M&Ms is like I make it at home. It's like my go-to
It
snack.
is. It is fantastic though.
Okay, what's the go-to candy then at the theater or the snack?
You know what? For a couple years, 2012, 2015, it was Fuzzy Peaches,
Oh.
and now it's been Skittles.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because they
Skittles?
brought back lime Skittles, and that was.
Do they not make a crunch? I guess they don't really. If you're.
Well,
in
yeah,
the theater.
I also I have respectful chew.
When
I'm
Mindful of your
Yeah.
chewing.
Action
Yes.
sequence.
Yeah.
Those lime Skittles are going.
There-
down.
there you
I'm
go.
Just, I'm
Down.
sucking on it till it's like dry enough to just eat. You know.
Something like do in the where it's all just like silence over sand. You're not going to be able to like be
Yeah.
mowing down on lime
Yeah.
Skittles.
No,
the
definitely
whole
not.
time.
Yeah.
What
Definitely
about you?
not.
What's your candy of choice?
Man, I'm just like old fashioned. Give me M&Ms. Give me my popcorn.
That's all I care about too.
Yeah.
And then a big Diet Coke.
Oh yeah, Diet Coke is the only way to go. You give me a freestyle machine where I could like choose my own
Oh, yeah.
drinks.
Ooh,
Diet,
those ones are good.
lime,
Lime,
Coke?
peach, whatever you want to do, just mix it all up.
delicious.
I'm a menace with those machines.
Yeah.
I go in and I probably put in 5 or 6 different.
Yeah.
Why not? Or do you just try it just because like it's
Yeah.
it's there?
Let me
I'm
see
like
what some of
Picasso
this.
with that thing. I'm just pouring different drinks.
We're gonna
into it.
paint
I'm
right now
whatever,
with
yeah.
drinks.
It's a true art form.
It's a chemical reaction at a certain
Yeah.
point.
I love it.
Yeah.
So one of the things you guys have gotten to do a lot over the past year is more press junkets and interviewing actors, directors. So I'm sure as like movie fans, it's like a just very like surreal, exciting thing. But what is like one of your most memorable or like pinch me moments so far from getting to do some junkets?
Oh man, you know, it's fun because like we started doing more virtual junkets at the beginning. So we'd just be sitting in our studio talking to somebody over Zoom, which you still get like the butterflies and the antsiness, but you kind of work with that. Like we love that feeling, right? Because
it means you care.
You know, you go to it, right? But it's not until we really started to do in-person interviews, and I think we were lucky enough to do some in London this year for Citadel, and we were just sitting in a room with like Priyanka Chopra, and we were just like, that's Priyanka Chopra. That's crazy. Or the Russo brothers who directed like the Avengers films, the most recent ones. And it was just like, this is crazy that we get to sit here and like just talk to you, not only about like what you just created, but also about just how much love we have for what you got to do before, right?
A big one for us, I know, for TIFF last year was Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
He just kind of walked in and was super chill and just sat down with us at the table, and we had a great time with him. He is exactly what you want Brendan Fraser to be.
Yeah.
Oscar winner Brendan. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I know. That's a good sentence.
He was wonderful. Yeah. He just like, he has this way of just looking you in the eye, and I'm just like, you know, every secret about me now. Like he just sees
He made
it.
you feel important.
Yeah,
Staring
he does.
into your soul.
He just sees you. It was a beautiful moment.
Who's like your dream interview that you guys would want to talk to then?
We kind of did our dream interview recently.
One of them, yeah.
One of them.
With
Who'd you talk to?
we spoke to Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who were the ones behind the Spider-Verse films. And
21. Oh, pick up the phone.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, they're calling right now. And then 21 and 22 Drama Street, they did that too. But obviously Ryan Gosling. I mean, we're already talking about Barbie. I mean, he'd be
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, why do you love almost killing yourself
He
making
does
movies?
hate Toronto traffic though, so I
Yeah.
mean I don't blame him.
You
We
said
all
that?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He has something against the Toronto traffic. I mean, who doesn't?
Who
really?
doesn't?
But
I
yeah.
have it.
We all do.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the next stunt for him.
Yeah.
He's just gonna like
Being
jump
on the
off
401?
guard. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a big jump from the 401 straight to the
He's
garden.
just stuck
Yeah.
on Jarvis, and that's it.
Yeah.
You should have been the one doing the Man from Toronto then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have made
Scaling
a bit
down
more
the side
sense.
of the CBC. They did that in that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never saw that movie. I just remember
I
seeing
didn't watch the movie
trailer.
either. I watched them film it though when I was at work.
Oh,
Did the scene make it?
The whole
Yeah.
movie's called Man from Toronto, but
It's-
and shoots in Toronto, but they never say it's Toronto.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
It's very strange.
It's
Really?
very it's like a little like Inception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely like those would be amazing.
Yeah, I'd say
I'm
so.
just like in a mindset of Barbie now, so I'm just thinking of everyone on
Margot
the cast.
Robbie would be really
Margot
cool.
Robbie would be amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that'd be just on the list.
Yeah, but anytime we get to do it, it's just like this is amazing. Like it's sometimes you just forget what you're doing and you're just like, I'm just talking to this person right now. This is really cool.
That's so cool. It really humanizes it.
Yeah.
Takes them off the screen and just into your life.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that you can really, I'm just going to give you guys a compliment now because this is like something that you can pick up on when you watch or listen to any of your content. Because sometimes you'll get the classic junket style reporter who's going in to get the soundbite.
Yeah.
But it's clear that you guys love movies and appreciate the ability to talk to these. That translates for sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest compliment we've gotten sometimes where it's like we'll usually get the rap cue and we haven't gotten it and they're like, no, we were just enjoying the conversation, so we're letting you go. We're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's so kind of you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so we've been really lucky to meet some really cool people and some really nice people too in these experiences. Because again, it's such a short amount of time sometimes, so you never really know how people are going to be, and they're answering a lot of the same questions as well too. So you always want to keep it fresh. You guys know that.
But yeah, do you have a strategy
Yeah.
for breaking the ice?
We just start to make fun of ourselves or them. I think that kind of always goes well. Like if there's an awkward moment in the queue, I think we were doing an interview in person with Charlie Hunnam, and he was a little just serious at first, and then we started just joking. I'm like, Charlie, you're always in Toronto. Why do you love the city so much? And then from there, I'm like it's Toronto. What do you like about it? And then from there, he just kind of opened up. He's like, well, everything's named after places in England. And then from there, we just kind of joked around and
Yeah.
had a great time because, yeah, once you start to kind of just joke around with them, I think they kind of go, okay, these guys are fun.
Yeah.
I never knew until like probably it's so embarrassing like a year ago that in the press junkets that the reporters or like the interviewers are the ones that swap out the chairs and that the like I always pictured if it's like Margot Robbie doing Barbie promo that she's hopping around to every
Margot, next room.
No,
Yeah.
do you want to know why?
Sense.
Because did you ever watch Notting Hill? Because in Notting Hill, when she's doing the
Yes.
press interviews, she's walking around
Yeah.
to each different
That's
thing.
true.
Like sometimes they do two. Like they'll run two hotel rooms.
They
maybe side
so
by
they
side.
kind of do that. You're right. Where if, for example, let's just say we had Priyanka Chopra, Jonas, on our show, she was by herself, but then the next hour she had with
Richard Madden.
so
Yeah.
she had to move to another room.
Ah,
So
okay.
there is kind of that element there, but it's not as.
But it's you guys swapping out with like
Typically,
other.
Yeah, with other press coming in and out, and
Yeah.
and it's really funny too because a lot of the times, like with Priyanka, like the room we went into, we had to like, it's almost like we were sitting on the floor in the
This
interview.
is like
It looks
5 times the size.
Yeah, it looks like we're in a huge space, but you're actually like in a little tent with some of them just because the lighting and all like the reflectors
So
they
your
have
like
up.
knees are almost touching them when
Yeah.
you're like sitting there.
Okay, that's kind of fun. The other funny thing then with breaking the ice is
Yeah.
you're like in this most uncomfortable
Yeah.
environment, trying
Yeah.
to get the most comfortable responses out of someone.
My self-awareness is there.
Yeah, I mean, I told when we were doing that junket too, I went to say I love this, but I told the person we were interviewing I love you, and everyone in the room just stopped and was dying of laughter, and I
There
was
was like
just
6 people in that room.
Yeah.
Like, just laughing so hard.
and I was just trying to continue through,
Oh,
but
that's good.
sometimes those moments just get the better
I
of you,
think
but you just
those
roll
are
with
the
it.
things though that like everyone looks for now. Like the generic questions are not the ones that like go viral or
No.
get the clicks, right? It's like making someone break or making someone laugh or
Yeah,
like
do you-
any of those
Do
moments.
you have any other moments like that?
We have that. I mean, we like we're talking about like Ted Lasso earlier, but like
Yeah.
we were talking to Brett Goldstein, which we absolutely love.
You got to talk to Brett Goldstein.
Yeah, we talked to Roy Kent himself.
We asked him to give
If
us the
anyone
most-
from Apple listens to the podcast, I would like to talk to Brett Goldstein. Actually, no, I would like to talk to Jason Sudeikis.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
That'd be great, too.
It's my celebrity crush.
That was a fun
That was
fun
fun.
moment.
We just
Yeah.
asked him to give us the most Roy Kent FU that he possibly could to us, and he did. And it was he zoned in.
You
did
got
the
blessed. You got like
Yeah.
Christian.
We did.
Christian.
It
Absolutely.
felt like I was baptized again.
Yes.
Yeah, it really
Oh
did.
my god.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, he was really cool, and it's funny because like we're so used to seeing him as Roy Kent, so when you're hearing him
Yeah.
talk, he's just his voice is higher, like he's just such like a lovely person.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, do you want me to do it as me or as Roy? And then he just went like to that Oscar the Grouch mode. He's just like,
Yeah.
and he said,
Now I'm
like,
curious
"Hey,
what
hey,
it
great.
would sound like from him only.
Yeah, I feel like it would sound more insulting for
Yeah,
him, if
probably.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Roy Kent, I'm like, oh, we deserve that.
Yeah.
We deserve that. Yeah.
Oh my god. I can't believe you guys got to talk to Roy Kent.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
He was lovely. He was absolutely
He was
lovely.
fantastic.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, so we have one final question for you. Jacob wrote it. I didn't. I would have never made you pick between these two, but it's all his fault. So I will let
scared
him.
now.
I will let him tee it up.
Well, I
for
mean, so this is coming.
weekend.
This is coming out a couple of days before these movies come out, and I know that you need to fully experience them. But if
Right.
you have to choose one, knowing what you know now, to go and see this weekend, Barbie or Oppenheimer.
Oh boy.
It's so hard not having seen them yet.
I think with Oppenheimer, you're gonna get this really cool theatrical experience, and with Barbie, you're gonna get that perfect summer film. You're gonna get that movie that's gonna make you feel just so good inside. Whereas Oppenheimer is probably gonna burn the inside of you. So
Yeah.
it's really up to you. How you
Yeah,
wanna
I think
take it.
I think if you had to choose one this weekend, as much as we love Christopher Nolan, I think people want to be happy during the summer. So yeah, Barbie, how could you get more of a summer movie than that?
Yeah.
So I think you'll.
It's all fun in the sun.
Yeah.
Barbie.
And I feel like it's gonna be like a pop culture like moment. Like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
be referencing it. And if you don't go see it like ASAP, like I feel like I'm gonna miss out on all
100%.
the memes
It's
Yeah.
and
like an
stuff.
episode of the show Recess where they don't get to go see that movie that one weekend. So that's what you got to do.
Yeah, deep cut, deep cut.
Love Recess.
Yeah.
There's been a couple deep cuts. I like
Yeah.
that. I like it.
And realistically, probably just go see both of them.
Yeah.
for a couple of days.
Just
Do
make
the
sure you
double
see,
feature.
yeah, just see
Yeah.
Oppenheimer first, so you could watch Barbie and then be happy again.
Yeah.
You know what?
You know?
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a drive-in that was playing them one. And two. It's not happening.
doesn't
It's not
exist?
happening. No.
Wow,
That's
that's
a
such a missed
missed
opportunity
I
for
know,
sure.
They've been stacking them. Oh, what are they putting with it? I forget, but they're separated at all the drive-ins.
Well, it's
everywhere.
Interesting.
I mean, as someone that like look, I love films. Like that's why I'll go see Oppenheimer, and I'm big on like going to see like Oscar nominated. But like majority of people I know who want to go see Barbie are not interested in seeing Oppenheimer. Like they're only interested in
Right.
one or the
Yeah.
other.
Right.
So I think
Yeah.
it truly is like it makes sense that they would
Yeah.
separate them, but missed opportunity. Thank you guys so much for making the time to come on here.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you.
We're honored to be
We'll
here.
have to
seriously.
bring you back around like Oscar season. We'll do a
Yes.
whole deep dive.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun.
This
Yeah,
was amazing.
absolutely.
We love what you guys are
Amazing.
doing.
Oh, thank you. Every episode we get people on, we let you have a moment to plug yourself or say a message to the audience, and that is your camera right there. So do as you wish. Your final send off.
Perfect. So you could follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, wherever social media is still around at this point, at DBAPS. And of course, please follow at the Movie Podcast on wherever you listen to us, because that is our name. We somehow got it. It was available and it's ours.
Yeah, and you can follow me at Shaybaz, SHAYHBAZ, on every single social media that's out there.
welcome back to our voicemail segment where every week we answer your questions, try to give advice, and we haven't done a voicemail in a while. We've been doing some drafts, we've been mixing it up, but I'm very excited to dive into our voicemail right now with our first question. Jacob, are you ready?
I'm ready and I'm psyched.
Okay, so a lot of these are about travel because we've both just been traveling for a while. So the first one is, how do you ensure that you don't get sick from long trips or vacations? For example, I am going straight from a family trip into a bachelorette party.
Okay, that's a really good question.
You were away for like a full month.
Was away for 3 weeks on the dot.
It's crazy.
And we were traveling a lot of different places in a lot of like touristy zones with a lot of different people around. I was worried about this because I'm like, as soon as I get back, I got to be doing things. Didn't want to get sick. Luckily didn't. And I can't attribute it to one specific thing, but I think if there was like one tip, and this is what I did, whenever you get somewhere new, like hit a little shop or something like that and make sure you get your veggies, fruits and veggies.
I know.
You know, pick up the bananas, pick up the apples, the oranges, make sure you're getting your vitamins.
It's so easy when you're traveling to just be eating like fried food.
And don't get me wrong, I did that too.
Yeah, I know. I did the same thing. I was just on a 10-day trip out east actually, and I just come off a bachelorette party then into that 10-day trip, and I only had about 2 days off in between. So that was basically what felt like 2.5, like almost 3. It felt like almost 3 weeks of travel because it was just like, it was so long. I'm a big proponent on giving yourselves like moments of peace and quiet to yourself when you need them. Don't be afraid to say, I need like an hour or two to myself, or like little pockets of time for yourself.
Yeah.
So you don't burn out. I'm a big sleeper on planes, and I read on planes. That's like my time to like zen and like not. What, did you not do any reading? Did you read any of your
I'm
books?
so bad at, we'll get to that in another episode, but I was so bad at sleeping on anything.
Oh, you were?
I didn't sleep on trains. I didn't sleep on planes. I didn't sleep on the plane right there. I got maybe a half hour of sleep.
On your flight to London?
On the flight to London to kick things off. And then I went out that night and stayed out until like 2:30.
That's rough. What a way to cut, like, go against the jet lag.
I
there.
know. Well, that's a good tip though. It's like prioritize sleep.
Prioritize sleep. I maybe wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't do what Jacob did and not sleep. Yeah, I'd make sure you get sleep. Make sure that you just like prioritize yourself and making sure you have little pockets, because you like burning out and getting sick is inevitable. I'm also, I like to have like the vitamin C packets that you put in water and stuff.
Smart,
Those like
yeah.
Emergency, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Those ones are good just to like constantly have. But yeah, just make sure you give yourself moments of rest.
And knowing if you're on like a long trip, this is one thing that I did too, is like knowing when to tap out for the day.
Yes.
Like, you know what? Let's cancel this dinner. Let's leave this party a little earlier.
Exactly.
Just because you have like we left a rave. We were at a rave. It wasn't a real rave, but like.
Well, weren't you guys at Boiler Room?
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's kind of a rave.
Anyone not familiar, we were just dancing for like an entire, from like 5 p.m. on, and we're like, we tapped out at 10:30, I think.
Yeah.
We're like, you know what, let's just go to sleep.
And it's about not feeling like you're wasting time if you do that too, right?
Yeah, because then we were like, okay, the next day we're
you're more
feeling
energized.
good, we're walking around the city, we're not dead. Exactly. Yeah. Question number 2 for voicemail: how do you get back into a routine after a trip?
So I'm trying to do that right now. I went right from like essentially 2 weeks of travel and then right into a concert yesterday. So like today's my first day of like getting back into a routine. I am training for a half marathon. I haven't ran in 2.5 weeks. So there's like lots of things that I'm trying to like get back into. I just give myself a little grace with it. So like yesterday I didn't force myself to like do anything. I just like listen to my body. But yeah, I usually have a goal once I'm back from travel to like eat at home for an entire week and try and do like at least one of my little routines each night. So like tonight I'll go for a run when I get back and probably start editing the podcast, and that's like part of my routine. I'll tap out at like 10 p.m. and go to bed early, and I just slowly get back into a routine from there. But my life is never really in a routine, so I try my best, but it's tough.
Yeah, I think taking it slow is probably the best idea, or for me at least, as opposed to like trying to jump in and do everything perfectly. Like, oh, let me get my workout in, let me do this all in one day. The first day back, my first day back was you know the sad Pablo meme from like the Pablo Escobar show, where he's just like sitting around like looking at stuff, thinking about his life. That was kind of me, just being like, well, okay. But I think I also need a little bit of a reset after a trip like that, just because it's so go. You're stimulated all the time, and then you come back and it's a little bit of a downer, and you're like a little unsure, a little uneasy. That's me at least.
No, I agree. I think like taking a little bit of time after like travel, it takes me a while to get back into a full routine with it, and then usually I'm on my next trip, so then I derail myself again. But yeah, I'm gonna try my best for the next like month to be in as much routine as I can. before I do it all again. Like I leave for Budapest in 3.5 weeks, unfortunately.
Yeah. The other option too is to just like remain delusional and pretend you're still on the trip.
What I was going to say though is everyone needs to come to my TikTok and be like, how do you go to work right after vacation? Because I was never somebody that like would take the day off before I go back to work. I'd always I'd try to maximize time off in a trip, right? So I would like work or be on the trip until like Sunday night, and then I would work on Monday morning. This was my first trip in a long time that I came home on Saturday and I had all of Sunday off before going back to work Monday. Game changer.
We had a long weekend. Yeah, it was
so
good.
nice. It like really helps you get back into it, because I've done too many red eyes where I've literally taken my suitcase to the office and just gotten back, and I'm never doing that again.
No.
And our third question of mailbag: how do you handle trips with friends? Who pays? Who organizes? How do you handle money?
This is a tough one.
And it depends on the friend group. It depends on everything.
It can vary friend group to friend group, or like who you're traveling with, if it's a lot of people, if it's a few people. For example, I kind of default to for whatever reason, I'm sure I talked about this with a therapist, of like tossing my credit card.
I'm the exact same way.
I'm like, no, I'll pay for it.
I'm the exact same way. But then also it depends on the group. So like I have two examples, right? I just came from a bachelorette party with a bunch of girls I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I was just on a group trip with all my friends I do know that I organized. So bachelorette parties can be a little tricky because
they can also be expensive.
Yeah, we were very lucky that we were able to use our #influence a bit and get a bunch of stuff comp for the girls, which was lovely. But whenever I put money down for a trip, or put money down for like as an example, we like surprised Julie with like this like limo bus thing that picked us up from the airport, and I paid for it. I put the credit card down. I would have never done that if I couldn't afford to pay for the full thing, because I can't assume that people are going to pay me back. I actually always work under that assumption.
I get that too.
Because I don't want to like assume that I'm going to be able to get money back from all these people. So I just like put down things. And the other girls, like the one girl picked up all the alcohol. So it's like, we're kind of even. And like, just like, I was with a group of people that were doing that a lot more. And it varies. Whereas I've had ones where people do a split wise, and then like you try to split it.
So complicated.
Okay. I had somebody a split wise from a trip that I was on. Literally the trip happened in September, and I had a girl message me about it in March of this year. And I go, I'm sorry.
And how much was it? Like,
it was like over like $100. And I was like, I will just pay you the $100 to stop bothering me right now about this. Cause like, that's like that type of stuff. If you're gonna do a splitwise, you have to do it from day one. You have to like organize from the start. And then for me, this most recent trip, cause it was my cottage and like I organized it, what I did was my friends agreed, we go, let's just put everything on Sarah's credit card, and then she'll just send us the mass split after.
Yeah.
So I put all alcohol, all food, and like the rental car on my credit card, and then that way when I send them, it's none of this like, oh, I paid for this. And
were you guys doing like communal meals and
yeah, that's all we
like,
did communal meals, except for when we went out for dinner, then we would like get our separate bills, but communal meals and like hotel, all of that. So I just took it all in mine, and then tomorrow when I go through my credit card statement, I will just like divvy it up and like send everyone a number that's like whatever knows me, which makes it a lot easier.
And I think your point to like if you have expectations of what you want your trip to look like, and you are okay paying for something knowing that it might not come back around, but you want to experience that, for example, like the party bus or the bus to get you somewhere, I think that ends up being worth it, as long as you're also there's a little expectation. It doesn't necessarily have to be talked about, but that someone else is going to pick up
something
a little
else,
tab,
for
or
sure.
they're going to go out and grab coffees for everyone.
Exactly.
Because like everyone has wildly different incomes, or sometimes they have wildly different incomes, and like someone grabbing coffees in the morning can be a massive help for just as someone like booking a car transfer or something
or
like that.
If like example, like I picked up Naomi's dinner one night like from the restaurant, and then she went and picked up mine the next night, like is there probably like a $7 difference what we paid? Yes, but like do we care? No. I think it's just about being honest and open with those conversations with people. I've been on trips though where people are very like, we split everything down the middle, we do everything separate, or we have separate bills for everything, and that's totally fine too. It's just a matter of making sure you're having those conversations. Have them before you leave, and make sure you know roughly what people want to spend, because nothing's worse than when you get somewhere and you both have drastically different views on what you want to spend on a trip. And maybe I'm someone that loves to go out for nice dinners and like splurge and get cocktails and all that stuff, and then maybe if your friend wants to just like pick up food from the grocery store, like that's a very different experience. So just make sure you have those conversations early on.
To that point, avoid sharing a bill and going even at a restaurant.
No, just ask for separate bills.
Yeah.
Other than in the United States of America, most places will do it. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Talking Fast. I hope you really enjoyed our deep dive into summer blockbusters. We'll be back next week with yet another episode. We are back every Wednesday. We're back from vacation. We're going through till the end of the year, and we will see you then.